Tia, welcome to the Viewpoint Show, and thank you for joining
Good
us.
night. Good evening. Good evening.
Yes, T.
Hey, I'm Press. How you
Welcome.
doing, beautiful?
I'm good. How are you guys? How are you guys doing?
Good.
We're here. Wiggs, you have to switch up the layout, You know the one for the one, yeah.
Yeah, but don't
One
worry,
and
we're
then
gonna
three.
Why
We
is you
just
always trying
deal
to
with
bad up somebody? Like, what is wrong with
it.
you?
just in a
Like,
second.
always, like,
So the topic, I'll drop it here. So the topic, as we mentioned for today, is baby mothers and baby fathers. How do we break the cycle? Now remember, we're in the T dot, so we don't really say baby mama and baby daddy. It's baby
Hmm.
mothers.
I say baby mama, baby daddy.
Yeah, cause you're American too. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, most of us here are Caribbean based, right? And
Yeah.
that's T dot slang is and talk is mixed with primarily, Jamaican patois, British English, Canadian. It's mix up. So we say baby mothers, baby fathers. Okay, how do we break the cycle? All right, that's the topic for today. Brooklyn, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to do with this?
I would love for the Empress to introduce herself so people can know exactly who we're speaking to, and then we'll get right into it as soon as she does that. So, Empress, please take the floor and introduce yourself.
So my name is Tia. Jamaican born. Lived in Canada from I was like 5. Um, Grew up in Scarborough. Work for the city. I have 2 children, 2 different fathers. So I guess this is right up my alley.
Okay.
Okay. So, my first question to you is, what is a
Hold on,
baby?
hold on, hold on. This is to anybody. We talking here. This one is informal. We're all talking here. So just drop it. If you got a
Oh,
question, throw it. Yeah, we're all talking here. So let's go.
okay, so since if we doing that, oh, I can get real comfortable now. Okay, so
Yeah.
since if we do it that, what is everybody's definition of a baby mother and a baby father? Oh, and just to let everyone know, I am not a mother myself, but I will put my inputs, but right after everybody does. So I'm gonna go to Wigs first, then we're gonna pass it on to the Empress and then Jada Man. So Wigs, what is your definition? Can't hear you. You're mute. You're mute.
All right. So I was actually, talking with somebody about this, earlier, right? So, and we kind of came to the conclusion that the definition could be different for everybody, right? Now, me, based on my experiences and what I would say, a baby mother or a baby father, and I'm going by the general definition. What I would say is is the person is the mother of the person who you're no longer with is is what the general definition. So like if I have a child with somebody and I'm not with them anymore and I move on, I hear people consider that person as the baby mom. So that's my definition of what I hear people say.
Okay. And Jada Man?
No, I thought we're going. You want to swing it to
Oh,
me?
sorry,
Okay.
Empress. Sorry,
That's
you're too
that's okay.
jumpy. Jada Man always too jumpy. Go ahead,
That's
Empress.
okay. All right. So there, I would say that there's two different definitions. So I hear like when you go to Jamaica and they say my baby father, my baby mother, but they're still together. They're not separated. I think like more in Canada or let's just say foreign, that they will say when you say baby mother or baby father, that means that you're no longer together. You have a child together.
Okay. For me, yeah. So I feel both. I feel all of those definitions there. So I would say the other part I would add to it is you're not married, or you weren't married. So if you were married and had your children during wedlock or during that marriage and separated, estranged, or divorced, you wouldn't be classified as a baby mother, baby father, right? But it's if you had the child without that ultimate quote unquote commitment, and and had that child within that union, and you're together, yes, without any full commitment, you could be called a baby mama or baby father, baby mother. And then if you separate on that same plateau or on that same wave, then you could also be called that. So the part I would add is the marriage piece. If you are married or if you are married, you wouldn't fall under that term.
All
So
right.
with
So
so
Brooklyn,
if
what about you?
so if
What's your definition?
Um, well, I'm not a baby mama. Um, but from what I see, it's yeah, you guys hit it right. You guys hit the nail on the coffin right there when you guys everything that you said, not married or not together, and you guys share a child together, and you guys are separated or separate and stuff like that. Financially, you guys, the father or the mother is taking care of the child by themselves, type of stuff. So it's like I don't. That's what my definition of a baby father, a baby mama is. Somebody who's like by themselves taking care of their child, and you know, you're
All right.
off doing
So
your own
if
thing.
you're
I'm off my own thing.
if you're one of the viewers, if you're watching the show on any of the platforms, if you have something you'd like to add to any of what you've heard, or if you have a different definition of what you consider a baby mom or a baby father is, feel free to post it in the comments. We are monitoring the comments, so we'll try to catch them and read them live on the air. Pretty Nikki has punched in and said, um, a baby mother father is a parent created out of
Out of
wedlock.
wedlock.
Yeah,
Woo!
you see?
Now, in a nutshell, I kind of me personally, I kind of like that. It kind of ties into what Jada Man was bringing in at the end, and I kind of agree with that as well. Tiny Brit also punched in and said that she strongly believes that the culture needs to start embracing marriage. You
Mm.
know, so you guys have anything to say about that? Tia, what do you have to say about that?
I agree. I agree. I think we need to get to know each other better before we rush into certain things, and that will make a difference. That will make a difference within creating less baby mothers and baby fathers instead of more husbands and wives and families.
Yeah.
That's a
So
fact.
so so what people, and then you could only speak generally, right? Meaning this doesn't run for everybody. But for most people and for most men that I know, marriage is the ultimate commitment. Ultimate commitment. All right. So I don't know if we talked about this last time, but with that said, it's when we get to that point or that place, or if we have to get to that place, you'll see you'll see what you need to see. So it's either he's not ready or he elevates himself, right? So if we can real talk, if we can play around without getting there, that'll happen, and this cycle will continue. So I know, like with I remember talking with this white lady one time, and within their culture of doing things, I can't remember exactly where she was from, but I met her here. Like there's certain things that were a no-brainer. She said when they were growing up, university, getting married, and there was some other things. Like they're like you just know you have to do that. Like even the guys know that too. You know what I mean? Like it was a signal of power, it was a signal of unity, it was a signal of just how they did things. So as she's saying, we have to embrace this. Yes, if it's the ultimate commitment for men, because we know a lot of times women are usually ready, right? We talked about this before, Wiggums and Brooke, that women are usually groomed from birth after they come out to start getting ready to take care of home. There's dolls, there's house, there's Ken and Barbie, there's all this stuff. And men, we don't even hear about it until maybe really into our 20s, right? So you've been preparing your whole life, and by the time you drop it on a man, you want to get married. He's hallucinating, you know what to do, him can't breathe, right? Because we haven't had all that time to digest it and figure out what
All
this
right.
looks like. Go ahead.
All right. So from what I'm hearing, like from some of the comments, right? I'm hearing a lot of it seems to be based on culture, right? Now, Jada, you brought up a point and said that women were groomed to certain things a little earlier than men, which I definitely agree with, right?
Hmm.
Now, Fukun punched in and said, in terms of marriage, It's hard to embrace something that a lot of us weren't taught up or weren't or we didn't grow up seeing,
Yeah.
right?
I was gonna say
I
that. Yeah.
personally agree with that, right? Now, comment on that. Somebody comment on that. Tia, what do you have to say about that?
I think because traditionally the children is usually with the mother, right? So it's like as a female, you grew up, you see your mom working, taking care of your kids, washing, cooking, cleaning, doing all of that role. So you already know what it's like or what you need to do in order to become a wife or, a
Mhm.
female at home. Now, typically the father is not there, right? The father is not playing, they're not displaying any traits to show you what type of man you need to be, how you treat your family, things like that. So it's like it's hard for males to be a man and be a husband if their father wasn't a man or a husband.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Once you get to a certain point, a place in life, and that's why I don't like a lot of the like this new age stuff that's going in. I get it and I understand where it's needed as far as where feminist has a stand as far as if you're like you're standing in the feminist piece. We want equal equity, so being treated fairly. Yes, there's some extremists, right? Some lady, I don't need man and I don't need this and I don't, and I believe it wasn't created for that. My body parts go directly in, they're in sync with your body parts. Like, who the hell am I here for? Who are we here for if we're not here for each other, right? So anyhow, that's another piece. But what I was gonna say is, yes, as a young male grows up, even if he just grows up in a female home, there's something naturally innate inside of you that yearns for that male connection, right? So
Mhm.
once you all get taller than mom, you're like, yo, you wanna flog it off. Like, she can't really talk to you. Like, you're looking for that, for that energy, that male energy, right? So you seek it wherever you seek it. You know what I'm saying? And that's why if you find, I'm gonna tell you this, if you have a lot of men that are at that level where they're men, so in the ages 20s 30s, and they had no connection with their father, show me that man and I'll show you a man that's broken, and if he finds his father or sees him, he'll break down crying, with just pouring out his heart and how much he needed his father, because I'm telling you, it's just nature. But go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I agree.
oh no,
Sorry, go
go
ahead.
ahead, Tia.
No, I agree. I think it's important for both to be there, like both roles to be there, because each of them, it's a nature versus nurture type of thing, right? So
Hmm.
it's like when you are shown certain things, you could in turn, reciprocate that, right? So, like you said, both roles are important because my father wasn't really there either. So I get what I missed out on with that male figure as well. So it's both, really.
All right, so let me ask a question. Let me ask a question to the ladies on the panel, right now, you don't have to say your personal experience, but in general, is marriage something that a mother pushes on her daughter in the black community, or 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 no?
I say yes because especially when certain things happen, like say for example, my mom, she had two children without getting married. So me growing up is like make sure you go to school, get your education, get married first, then have your children because that provides more stability for your life for your children as well. So yeah, I think it is important, right? And then it goes back to the roles that each parent plays. When there's a balance, it's more likely that the children are going to excel and do well in life.
Well,
Mm.
Tia, I know it's important. I know it's important, but maybe I just didn't ask clearly. What I was asking, is it something that is it pushed in the forefront as much as they're telling you guys? Because I know independence and being a strong black woman is something that is important in the black community. But is marriage part of that conversation?
I think so. Yes.
Okay, what about Brooklyn? How you
All right.
feel?
Well, we had
Brook
some.
Yeah,
Brooklyn,
Brooklyn. What about you?
in growing up or watching the ladies in your life, listening to to the ladies in your life, have you found that marriage was something that was pushed?
You're on mute there, bro.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you now.
Okay.
So
Um,
was marriage something that was pushed to the ladies in your life or in?
Marriage, yes, but not really that hard. After a certain generation, it wasn't really pushed that much because I guess they seen the direction that people wanted to go in. So, after I would say my older cousin, when it came down to my generation and younger, they don't really push that because they feel like our mindset is not on that. And,
Yeah.
they feel like we think we know everything. So they don't really push it as much as my older cousin and my aunt and stuff like that. Like they were very stern on, settling down, especially if, you had a child, they wanted you to get married and settle down and have a family and live that, that life of being in a house with both parents and things of that nature. But yeah, my generation is, they don't really push that on us. It's more of a what you want to do type stuff and they'll support. So
All right. So in response to that, because we talked about culture, and then what you kind of brought up was kind of generational, right? So in relation to that, we'll go to Jada Man first, then Tia. Um,
But hold on,
like,
Wiggs. Wiggs, I see a lot of people commenting on that piece that you just mentioned.
oh, sorry, I was looking at the IG, so
It's all good.
I
It's all good.
overlooked the other comments. Sorry about that. Let me just take a look here. So, oh, we have a shout out to all the viewers who are commenting. We're just going through the comments here, so keep commenting. We're gonna read them out here. One of the comments we have, see, Pretty Nikki says, on the flip side, she doesn't believe that women were taught how to be wives. So we did kind of touch on that as well. Do you guys want to respond to any of that?
taught how to be wives. It wasn't taught. It
Yeah.
was more. It wasn't more of a teaching element. It was more of an observing element. The thing, everyone's household is different, right? So I grew up in a household where my dad's, like, a couple of my aunts and stuff, they were married and they live in a house with their husband and with their husband. So it's I I don't know about that one because I don't know. It all depends. It really all
All right.
depends.
Well, so Tiny Brit also says, in her opinion, our children are used to seeing single mother homes to the point where it has now become mandatory that a man is not there. That is a strong statement. Tia, can you comment on that, please?
I disagree. I'll say that
I was
first.
just about to say what?
But I do understand her perspective, as in, yes, it's become so common that there's so many baby mother or single mothers with children that are struggling, that are, um, doing they're parenting, they're working, they're trying to provide emotional, financial, and all of that support for their children. But I really believe that the men are not standing up. The men are not being, because of the absence of the fathers, the men are not standing up to be there for their children. So it's like that's where the deficit comes in, is the men are not there and it's
Okay,
their choice.
let me I have a direct response to that, right? Because we
Mhm.
appreciate all the feedback, so thank you for that as well. Now, Pretty Nikki, in relation to the men, is saying, we're always hearing about how a man should treat a woman, but at the same time women are being taught how to be independent. Now, I definitely agree with that, because I think it's kind of flip side, right? So, men do play a part. We do want to push the men to be there and to stay family oriented and to lock it down, as we say. But then at the same time, we this is something we know the women are independent, strong black woman, like that's a phrase we all know about. So which one is it, Brooklyn? Is it the men need to stand up and be more firm, or is it the woman need to be less, not less independent, but more open to the man being there?
Hold on. Can I
No.
okay, can I
I,
say something to that? Sorry, Brooklyn. Let me let me
Yeah.
let me drop on this. Yo, with that piece, I'm gonna keep it real. Like I'm around a lot of women that have things going on. You know what I'm saying? And to have, and when I say have things going on, I'm saying success in a light of, have things, have good, great careers, educated, different things like that. And they're always, a lot of times they're like, yo, what's wrong with these guys? And like, how come I can't? And I keep it real, right? And so with this whole connection to independence, I think there's a fine line between healthy independence, and then there's, on the other side of it, it's, yo, I don't need you for ish. I don't need you for nothing. You know what I'm saying? That really kind of has a man in this space where, okay, I don't even know what to do. I don't know how to, and then there's a stereotype with that type of woman, right? So a lot of men who are insecure in themselves or feel that that woman will not need him, as Wiggum said, we're taught to hold it down and lock it down. And so a lot of men, when they feel they're in that position where, no, this woman actually may not need me for anything, it's a different vibe. It's a different vibe. There's an uncertainty in the way they step to it, or even, you know even inconsistencies with the relationship and that sort of thing. But that's another part of it. But Wigs, I wanted to really tap into somebody. My man Derek
Yeah,
Asante's on
yeah.
the
No,
mic here.
what you were saying just now was a
Yeah.
perfect segue. I was about to
Okay, go
jump into
ahead.
what you were
Hold on.
talking because
Hold on. Can I just drop in before you guys
yeah,
go
definitely. Go
on?
ahead.
So when it comes to the women and the independence and all that type of stuff, like I get it. There's a lot of men that look at us and say, "Oh, we think that we're bad because we want to be bosses and we want to have our own." Yes, we do. Because we're tired of hanging on, or as they say, because when a man becomes successful and a woman reaps the
Mhm.
benefit of a man's success, they call us gold diggers. They call us, we're here trying to trap a man to have a baby. They put so much different labels on women when
Okay.
you don't have your own bag that it's crazy that now women are looking at it like, I need my own because I need to be able to have my own. So when I meet a man at that stature or
Hmm.
somebody above that, I know I have my own so that nobody can't tell me I never had my business before I
And I
met
like that,
this man
Brooklyn.
and stuff like that. You get what I mean? Because that's what I feel a lot of women go through. And it's one of those things where it's now people are making it seem like it's bad for a woman to be a boss of her own. No, we've been standing by a man for years,
Yeah.
beside you through thick and thin. Now it's our turn to step out and be our own, to teach our daughters that, hey, you don't need to depend on a man. A man is great. Don't get it twisted. It's a bonus if he's there for you, but you also have to be able, if he's not there, you need to be able to take care of
To
you
hold it down.
and
Yes.
your kids
Yes.
when he's not there. So I think,
But
a lot of men, their egos get in the way and they're like, oh, girls out here think that they don't need a man for nothing.
because
Technically,
Brooklyn, no, no. Here's, well, we could go into this all night, but you see, yes, being able to hold it down on your own in case that man cuts or whatever happened, he passes away, whatever. Yes, right? Being able to support and stand on your legs and whatnot. But a lot of men are hearing that you don't need us, right?
All
Like
right.
you don't, and that's like, let me tell you,
but how much
words.
times do you guys say we don't need women? We don't
No, no,
need
no.
y'all.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
I don't want you guys to go back and forth and debate that too much, right?
I'm
Can I
Because
sorry.
Yeah.
say
I'm just
something?
saying.
because
Don't act
along
like
the
you guys
lines of
don't say you guys don't need us either. Don't
because
act like you guys don't say it.
along the lines of what you are saying, you
Hmm.
know, we have a lot of hot questions and comments. So
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want I want to get to all these, right? Um, Derek posted a comment earlier, right? And I
Hmm.
want to get Tia's opinion on this, right? So what do we have to say about the women who go out of their way to keep the father out of the kids' lives? And well, we'll talk about the second part of the question after. But we all know, we all hear the stories where the man may want to be there in or trying to be there, but we hear the stories, yo, she tries her best to keep him out the picture.
It's accurate, but there's a couple of reasons I would say why it happens. Is it right? Absolutely not. And it's not good for the children either, because once again, it's the balance, right? You need to have the roles and the relationships with both parents. But there's certain things that would contribute to that, like if especially if you really hurt the female, if you really hurt the mother, it could be a carry feelings type of thing, right? It's also, it could be a jealousy type of thing. He left her to go be with somebody else. It could be that. And then it's also, he could just not be doing what he's supposed to do. So it's like, you're not setting a good example for my child. My child's coming around you. You're not teaching them anything. You're not spending time with them. Maybe you're just leaving them with your girlfriend or your mother or whatever the case may be. So there's different ways that you can look at it as to what would actually like make the female feel that way, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree.
Wait,
There
you're
are.
on mute.
So you know what? That's You're right, because everybody's situation is different, right? So a better thing I think we should ask is, if you know a lady who is keeping their purposely seeming vindictive and keeping their child out of the life, or a father who is just seems to be just dropping money, is that something, a conversation that you would have with your friend, whether it's a male or female, or is that something you kind of leave to their own business? we'll
No,
go we'll go Brooklyn, then Jada, then Tia.
absolutely. As your friend, I'm going to keep it a buck and I'm going to keep it real with you. And I'm going to let you know what it is. Especially if you are the type of friend that's complaining to me about certain things. And if I know both parties, me being the middleman, I will always tell you what's right and what's wrong, because me personally, I feel like a child needs their mother just as much as they need their father. You understand what I mean? So no matter what it is, I just feel like you guys, once a child is involved, whatever personal issues you have with a man or with that woman, never take it out on that child, because once that child becomes of age to realize the truth and understanding of what's
Mhm.
going on, he or
Yeah.
she will either hate mommy, hate daddy, or won't want to deal with both, because it's like, if the child finds out mommy's holding me away from daddy, or daddy doesn't want to come see me, the child becomes to become have hate for everybody.
Resentment.
So
Yeah.
which is unnecessary. Then they start taking it out on other people. So at the end of the day, I feel like no matter what you guys go through, there should be some form of common ground and resolution that comes with it. And there's always somebody on both sides that can play, either the
Mediator.
grandparents or somebody, or the godparents or something. But I would always keep it a buck and let you know if you're wrong for that.
Yeah. Yo, this one
Yeah,
is sticky.
if
This
if
one's.
you're if you're if you
Mm. Go
if
ahead,
your
Wig.
boys slacking off, you know what I mean? Or if you see your a girl that's being vindictive, do you let her know, or what's your take?
Yeah, me, I'm gonna check them. I have to check them. And a lot of people don't have people that is willing to check them. But sometimes you have people that are checking people, but they don't care. They don't risk me. They're just doing whatever. F this man or F this woman. I'm on. They're on one. They're on one, and all common sense is just out the window. All common sense. Listen to me. I've been in certain situations, dog. I have two myself, and trust me, I'm not even saying in with my life. No one's ever kept me from my children because I'll die for my children. But going through the process of having a baby mother or having two dog, I will never do it again. Ever, 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 ever. Nobody can talk to me about it. I will never, ever do it again, B. That's how stuck I am on. Like, I do not want to relive it, B. And I tell my daughters, you know what I'm saying? Like, they know I love them. I do whatever, but it was it wasn't the best. It was like, a lot of people say, "Would you do it over again and live here?" And people say, "Yes, because I had my children." And no, I wouldn't do it over again. Love my children, wouldn't do it over again. And that was my experience. We don't have time for that today, but I'm telling you. And this, a lot of men are in this place, B, where they don't know what to do because a lot of the times, as we know, the children are primarily, as T said, primarily with the mother, and they corral the youths and they kind of make the decisions happen because a lot of men are afraid of going to where court and of not seeing their child, and that's another piece. Maybe we could go into that as well too. But go ahead, Wiggs.
All right. Well, let me get Tia's take. So Tia, one of your male friends is, he could be doing more, or one of your lady friends should be doing less of what she's doing, being vindictive. Is it your responsibility to let them know, or as a friend do you do the friend thing and jump in?
No, I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything, and I'm gonna keep it 100 all the time. I'm gonna tell you what it is, and especially based off of my experience of how things went with my children. I don't want that same mistake. And like part of becoming an adult and growing is also imparting knowledge on other people, right? On experiences, and you see
Yeah.
certain things and how it will affect your child and stuff like that. So no, I'm not going to tell them that they're doing the right thing. I'm like, listen, at the end of the day, whatever the issue is with the father, he's a liar, he's a this, he's a that, whatever the case may be, the child will grow up to see what type of person he or she is, period. Unless it's like some violent type of thing like that, then that's different. But other than that, then no.
All right. Well, we had some viewers that were agreeing with you as well, saying that unless there's a violent situation, there should be no reason why a woman should keep the child away from the father. We have some comments. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go through some comments, and then we're gonna go through some other questions here. So Pretty Nikki punched in and said, in her experience, marriage was never pushed on her. Now, I find that's something I hear a lot of from a lot of females as well. um, People are told that marriage isn't permanent. With divorce rates and things like that, these are common things that we also know as well. Um, Jasmine Roberts, welcome to Viewpoints and thanks for joining us. She says the problem is that some mothers and fathers are raising their daughters to be wives, but not raising their sons to be husbands. Now, I think
Mhm.
that's a great comment as well because even myself, I'm asking Tia and Brooklyn if the ladies are grown up to with marriage and teaching marriage. Now I would ask Jada that as well. Jada, is marriage something that you find is pushed to males growing up in the black community, or what's your take on that?
Um, the only I feel like I only met three households in my lots of years on this earth that had both parents, and yours was one. Although I never seen your dad because he was out working, but like I when I heard your dad was there, I was like, your dad's here. I was like, yo, I couldn't believe it. Like we're little kids. So
And I think I remember those conversations and stuff.
yeah, I'm like, your dad's here. I remember just a picture of him on the wall. It was just like this mysterious guy, like, you know what I mean? But anyhow, no. So the short answer is not really. So my grandparents were married. Not to say it was the prettiest, but they got through it all the way through my grandfather's passing, and I feel like I seen it and I knew that I wanted it. I knew I wanted it by seeing. So that's why seeing is believing. And we have to see it, right? Like a lot of people don't have that foresight, right? Or that mindset where they could see in the future and see ahead. They need to see it. Like 90 probably 95% of people. So when I seen it and seen that they were laying in the bed together and we'd go in the van all of us together, like I liked it. You know what I'm saying? So I think that I internalized that and I was like, you know what? And he taught me a lot about being a man and whatnot. So I had a good figure, and growing up, I wanted it, right? So I was like, I wanted it. But as T was saying, we step into certain situations and we don't know the process or a
So with
process, not the process, but a process. And and
with
and,
that
and we
being
jump
said,
too quickly. Yeah.
Fukun said the black man has not shown that they are reliable enough for us to be independent. Tia,
For us to not be
you
independent.
you
Abs-
punched in and you started by saying that you have two children from two different baby fathers. So what's your
mhm.
take on this?
It's facts. It's facts. So it's like, um they're it's I mean, both the fathers are different, really, but one is not there financially, emotionally, any alley, really, and the other one is there, is just mainly financially. Emotionally, he's not there. So all of the responsibility is left upon me. But like in regards to the independence part, the men are not stepping up. They are not being men. This whole, like, I don't want to stray far, but like this whole jealous mentality where you have to have enough girls here and there. So it's like, you can't depend on them because you don't know where they're going to be. They're a rolling stone. You know what I mean? So it's like, if we could depend on them, we could fall back more. But also knowing that you're losing your independence or letting a man lead, potentially you're also you putting yourself at risk for disrespect. So it's like, oh, me the man, you're almost like that type of issue. Oh, I'm the man, I pay all the bills. So it's like whatever I say goes type of thing. So it also depends on the men's mentality, what will make a woman kind of step back and let a man lead.
All right, all right. Jada, you have a comment on that?
I know I have she's dropping gems still, but I have another question
All
that I
right.
want to put out there. And there's something big my man Derek said there, but we're gonna drop on that. We're gonna touch on that just now.
Yep.
Question is, how did we end up like this? So how did we get here? Right? So yes, we're talking about, we're now in the situation and things are happening and it's not working and men are not stepping up and all while the kids are there. How did we even get there? So how didn't we go to what process did we take? What steps did we miss? How did we get there? Right? How do we get there? And I just want to put that out there so we can break it down, because once you find out the how, you can start tweaking.
All right. So we're gonna put that question out to the floor. So if you're
So let
punching
me
in,
ask you, Wiggs. I'm gonna ask you. Who?
all right. So before I answer, I'm gonna put the question out to the floor as well. So if you're watching on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, do remember to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and thank you for tuning into the Viewpoints Network. How did we end up in this place? Give me one sentence, two sentences max. How did we end up in this place? My answer, again, I think it has to go, I think it's going to go down to our culture and our history. Because we were, because I, I may not even want to go too deep, but again, black people were growing up a certain way, like fighters. We got to be resilient, right? So resilient at all costs. So I don't know. We're just I don't even know. I just think it has to do with our history. It's hard to be
Yeah.
specific. I'm just gonna say it has to do with our past, and I'm gonna leave the rest up to you guys. Tia, how did we end up in this place?
um, a couple of things. Example is one, I would say. Another one is um, w- I guess tradition. We stepped so far away from tradition that, like, even sex before marriage. I'm not saying everybody has their own views or whatever, but like that's the next thing, right? So if we were more, all right, we court and get to know the person without involving the sexual content of it, then you kind of know who you're getting involved with. Then you'll know, like, this is not somebody I want to have a child with, or at least you won't have that child that that room to make that mistake, or for it to happen. Let's say not a mistake, but for it to happen. Um, I also I just feel like it is our culture too, because we're sexual beings, right? And I'm not sure if we're all from the Caribbean, but like that's the music, that's the culture. So it's like it's rushed. We're not
Hmm.
patient enough.
Yeah, and I feel like practiced practiced habits. So habits that are practiced over and over among groups of people become culture and become part of who you are, and it's passed on. So when I say that, I go back. I don't know if you dropped it, Wigs, but I could go back to. It all starts with slavery. I'm talking for us folks that are here, most folks that are here, and then stripping everybody and separating everybody, and naturally we're sexual beings, as you mentioned, T. But also there was also that point where slave masters were forcing people to have sex to produce more slaves and whatnot, right? So over a time, just okay, I'm sleeping with whoever. This is a part of it, right? It's not the whole piece of it, right? I'm sleeping with whoever, sleeping with whatever. That the kids see it, the grandkids, that it perpetuates, it perpetuates, and then you throw in, you go hundreds of years later, because this is habit and this is culture and this is tradition now. Fast forward hundreds of years later, as you mentioned, then there's other pieces as far as where we're at now, how it's heightened. We got the music, we got the media, we got poverty, and poverty is a big piece. Sorry, I missed poverty and how the systems were created. Like it's deep, it's deep. So we would really have to have a whole show on that, right? But we can identify that, there's certain things in our past that have created this, right? This habit, which has become culture, and a toxic piece of the culture, right? So how do we how do we break it? How do we break it, which is the question, right? So how do we break this? What do people that are currently in the situation need to do, and what do before, and what are you saying to those 16, 17-year-old boyfriend and girlfriend who are on the wave? They're listening to the music, they don't see no fathers in the home or no mothers in the home, vice versa, and it can happen, because I know a lot of us were afraid when we have those daughters. We're afraid of this happening, right? So what are we to do? So once again, for those that are in it and those that are coming forward at 16, 17 years old, I want to put that out there.
Well, with me, I feel like the word baby mama or baby father or baby daddy or whatever the case may be, that's a word that some people use, because there are people that say the father of my child or the mother of my child. Um,
Yeah.
there you can't, when it comes to relationships, you may be with somebody for 5 years and then you guys break it off. 10 years, you break it off and you guys share kids together. Doesn't mean that that's your baby mama. That's the mother of your child. That's the father of my child. You understand what I mean? It's the wording that you use, the choice of word that you use. No one can look at me and tell me that I'm a baby mama, because a lot of females find that hella disrespectful when you call them a baby mama. So they rather be called the mother of so and so's child, and things of that nature. So to me, it's the music. Yes, there's a lot of things that showing these young girls and young guys out here that, at the end of the day, like, it doesn't have to be a two-parent home. You can be out here, sleeping with this person and sleep with that person and have children together, and you guys don't have to be together, and you could still be happy. You understand what I mean? Because some people could stay in a relationship for the child and be miserable as hell. So would I want to be in a relationship? The question is would you want to be in a relationship so that you won't be labeled as a baby mama? No. If I feel like at the end of the day, I need to get out of that toxic relationship where it's not meant for me and my child, I'm going to remove myself and I'm going to be known as the mother of so and so's child. That's the way I want to be.
All right.
I want to be, people to look at me at, not a baby mama. It's how, because some people like it, some people don't. You understand what I mean? So
So,
that's my take on that.
so, so Tia, your quick question: when somebody's referring to, let me ask you. So when you're referring to your first child's father, do you use that term? And when you use
Um,
it, do you
mhm.
do you use it? Is it a disrespectful term?
I don't like that term. Period. I don't like the baby mama. It sounds ghetto to me, and nothing wrong with being from the ghetto or
Exactly.
anything like that. It just has a negative connotation associated with it to me. I say father, child, or the name so and so's father.
You'll word it, yeah.
I word it differently.
That's a
Yeah,
fact.
just like kind of what Brooklyn said. So
Yeah, that's
Jada,
a
let me
fact.
ask you,
Hmm.
when you're referring to your child's mother, do you refer to her as your baby mama, whether you're speaking in a formal setting or whether me and you are talking in the bar? Are you using that term, and what's your impression of the term? Is it a disrespectful connotation? Is it
Brooklyn's dying. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So for
and I don't
me,
mean disrespectful, but you know what I
yeah,
mean? What's the
yeah.
con
No, no.
No, I think most guys in the city, we say baby moms, you know what I mean? It just so it's just like there's certain words that it means things to you if you're putting that weight behind it. Like I'm not putting it in a hateful way. Like if I'm just like, yo, I gotta give my
you're
baby
just
moms a
describing,
thing,
I
or I
guess.
gotta go meet my baby. Yeah, like I'm not saying it in a way where it's, you know what I'm saying? Like that negative weight is on it. But yeah,
Got
I do say that, or I say like my youth's mom or something like that. The mother of my child. Like that's it takes too long to say all of that to tell you the truth.
yeah, no,
Like
I agree with you there because when I was talking to my girl, same thing I'm saying. I'm like, well, when if me and my brethren are talking and we say, oh, my baby mom's down the road, like we're not saying it disrespectful. We're just like you said, so the rest of the stuff just take too long to say.
yeah, because if she was your ex-wife, you'd say, yeah, my ex-wife is down the road or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so that's the other thing, right? So I think a piece with breaking the cycle or breaking this pattern is if the women are saying we need to stop saying that and change the way we address the mothers and the fathers of our children. I think that's a way to get it going. If it feels a little better and it's not as negative and heavy on you, then that's a start.
Listen,
All
from
right,
the
let me.
ladies, from the ladies whole, because like I said, I'm not a mother, but from I've seen my friends carry a child for the whole 9 months and what they have to go through and the pushing and all that type of stuff. If they're asking you men out there to not call them a baby mama, please, I am asking you for the safety of yourself and your vehicle, please just don't call them that. Just don't call them
All
that.
right,
Just don't do it.
so let me ask the floor a question. The term baby mother and baby father, whether we're talking about the term or the notion, right? Are there any impacts to the child, or what are the impacts? We'll start with Brooklyn, then we'll go Jada and Tia.
When you call somebody a baby,
The term baby mother and baby father, or the whole cycle of baby mother, baby father. Are there any
Hmm.
impacts to the child?
not that I would, like I said, I'm not a parent, so I wouldn't know if there would be an impact. So
That's fair
that I
enough.
would I would have to definitely send that off to the parents. So Empress, I'm gonna tag you in for this one. So hold it down for the females.
um, you know what? It's perspective. One thing it's perspective, but it's also like, how do I word it? It's like also putting it on a higher standard of respect for the other person too. So instead of saying, okay, Jada Man said, like, the father of my child or whatever, you could just say so and so's dad or so and so's mom, or my, I don't know, that's the way how I put it, right? So it's more of like a respectful, uplifting type of way of putting it that doesn't sound like baby mama's like, yeah, baby mama, like, so I,
Hmm.
I think I think I think the way you phrase things also put can have a negative or a positive viewpoint on certain things.
But what I think Wiggs is asking though is being in that cycle of being the other person's father, mother, baby father. Are there impacts on the child when you're in this kind of situation? Forget the
Of course,
names. Yeah, so I think that's
of
what he
course.
was
Yeah.
asking.
Oh, for facts, of
Hmm.
course. Because at some point, some parent is going to be doing more than the other.
Mm.
Very rare do you find a father that's going to stand up and say, like, you know what? All right, parent teacher meeting, I'm going to be there. Oh, doctors, last time you brought the child to the doctor, let me bring the child this time. Like, very rare are they there supporting, like, how the mother, all of that pressure is on the mother. So yeah,
So
no.
let me jump in there. Is
Mm-mm.
that a fair statement to say, Tia? Is that a fair statement to say that it's rare that the fathers are there?
Based off of my experience and based off of the knowledge of my friends and the people around me, it's rare.
Jada.
Yes.
All right, Jada. As a male, what's your take? Is that a fair statement, or is that accurate?
Yeah, so for my peers, so my friends and people that I've seen, yeah, man, it was a rarity still. It was a rarity. But
Yeah.
let me touch on the impact a little bit.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I see the comments going, wow, this one's good. So I know, so being in this situation, I know my daughters have been impacted because outside of one parent potentially doing more, your child is in. So where I'm at, I run a certain household, and when they leave, there's almost nothing I could do about it. When they leave and they're with their mom, and in that household, you get what I'm saying? So there's this thing in you, especially as a man's man, that want to be able to control, and they'll tell you, you don't control nothing around here. Don't ray. Okay, cool. You know what I'm saying? But I would like, I'm a man that's always, but I'd like this to happen and this to happen and this to happen to try to, you know, situate whatever I'm speaking about. But growing up now, growing these kids, I've realized that there was things that I couldn't potentially save them from. Um, no matter how much I wanted to be there, so I would always just drop whatever I'm doing and run to my kids. And it's funny because my mom used to tell me stop doing that because I would drop whatever I'm doing and I would put myself in jeopardy, whatever I'm trying to build over here. Because when you're no longer with the person, that's the other thing. You have to build another life. So it's hard, be like this whole situation. And then the children don't really know; they just know that you're not there. And I remember my children asking me. I think my little one for sure. She was, how did you and my mom break up? Like just them, that inquisitive, just them inquiring on that really has them pondering like what happened because I may see other people with their parents and I just want to know, or maybe they're hearing another story. But what I like to do, and I'm gonna put this out there as a gem, no matter what they might say in hurt or whatever about me, with my daughters, and they could come on the show and tell anybody, I always say, yo, you know what I'm saying? I try to keep my head up and be respectful in regards to their mom. Yeah, they might see me go off a 1 2 time, but I'll let them know, hey, your mom, yo, she was bad at all, and like just make them laugh and let them know, yo, your mom's had it going on, and and just try to boost that and fill that little empty space with, hey, I have love for your mother regardless of what. So that's a gem that I'll put out there, but it impacts them in different ways psychologically, I'm telling you.
So I have a quick question. Sorry, before we go on. So what when it comes to, because you said you have conversations with your daughters and stuff like that, and you try to you let them know how bad their moms were and stuff like that. Like, why do you find it hard for men to, some men, I'm not going to say all men, some men, to acknowledge the greatness of their the woman of their children, as much as a lot of kids tend to see them bringing their mothers down, opposed to uplifting them and things of that nature to make themselves look good. So how did you how are you able to do that? Because not a lot of men would
Yeah.
do that, big
So
up their.
it's the depth of your mind, and you gotta be like, so I always seen the impact of not having a father in the house, and I had to be the eldest for my brothers, and I had to be that guy. Like, so I seen the impact. So I remember I made a vow with my next bridge, and I said, yo, we're never gonna do this to our youths, be never. And so we fight to the death for our youths because we know we have. And a great man told me, he said, "You fight for your children to the death." There's moments I wanted to give up because of the pushback and the stress the moms were giving me. And the man, I always remember, he said, "Fight to the death for your children." You get what I'm saying? And love overcomes in this instance. Like when it comes to your children, you fight in love and it'll overcome. But what I'm saying is, why I do that is because, as I said, I know the impact. Call it from reading, call it from learning, being educated in a certain light, but I know the impacts of these youths or of children not having um, positive reinforcement or imagery and about their family members and different things like that. So I make it a point to ensure that, and it's not just your mom's bad. You know what I'm saying? I used to say it, but I also talk about their accomplishments and what they meant and how good they were doing out in the city and things and and the potential that their mother has. And so I build that. I just build it, man, and I just pray, and
How about
that's
wigs?
how we work.
Wigs, how about yourself? Because I know you're always bigging up your Empress and things of that nature, and stuff like that. Like, how important is it for you to boost, not to boost, but to recognize her accomplishments and show her your love and your support for the mother of your children?
So the thing with me is because I'm a oh, sorry for not switching it up, guys.
It's
Some
okay, not a problem.
So with me, I'm kind of like an open-minded person, right? So I kind of seen a lot in my days, right? Now, growing up, growing up, like my parents weren't like married, ceremony married, right? But just like Jada said, like everybody was there every day. So I grew up in a two-parent household, but they weren't married, right? So I'm kind of like on the fence with both, right? But at the same time, I think because I kind of grew up with that, it 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 has my mind thinking the same way, right? So I don't see a problem to say you need to be married, but then I guess somebody may say I'm a baby daddy. So I just think it's a matter of making sure. I think communication is a big part of it, and I think, like you said, celebrating the successes, and if she does something good, make sure people know what's going on, and I just think it's communication and making sure everybody is knows what's going on. I know I kind of strayed, but I hope I answered the question.
No, you did, you did, you did, you did. Like I said, you're always bigging up your empress, so that's why I definitely had to ask you and things of that nature and
All
stuff.
right, so let me.
And as a woman, that sorry, before you go, and as a woman, how I have to ask my empress, how important is it for for you as a woman to acknowledge the accomplishments of your the father of your child, your children, to your kids?
I think it's important because no one person is all bad, right? And also, it is important for them to grow and see certain things. So when you speak on the positive things, even though it is extremely hard to do that sometimes when you're frustrated or stressed out, it is extremely hard at times. It is important for them to see it on their own rather than you poisoning their minds with certain things.
I like that. I like that. Go Wiggy, it's your turn. I know you wanted to talk and I cut you off, but there you go. I had to ask those questions because,
Can I
I just want.
can I drop
I want
something?
Yeah,
Can I
yeah,
of
go
drop
ahead.
course,
something?
yeah.
Yeah, as a post, I mean not as a post, but just talking about how do we prevent or ease. Well, let me talk about prevention now. Um, the okay, so to have a baby mother, a baby father, you have to be having sex, right? Nine and a half times out of 10. Um, so some other stuff. Well, hey, cut it out, cut it out. So, so and then it's unprotected sex, right? It usually involves the guy ejaculating, the female unprotected at times. So let's speak about that piece, right? Like the whole sex piece. Are we too fast in our community? Are we not knowledgeable about protection? Are we like? Because my thing is, and keep those questions. Because my thing is, I don't really see it. Remember, I was talking about the white girl I knew, and she was telling me about how they grew up and stuff like that. I don't see all this stuff in the white communities. I could be wrong though, right? Like baby mom, like they're walking around teenage mothers or I don't know, but I don't see it from what I can see, and I'm kind of well traveled in the city and stuff like that. So what do we do? What is it around sex? Are we having sex too early? Is nobody know about protection? Like what's happening there? Let's touch on that.
Okay, I'll start. Um, for one, um, parents don't speak to their children. So imparting knowledge and instilling certain things into your children, like um, yeah, so yes, Fuquan, I agree. Parents never talk to us about sex, right? You just automatic like you're taught through school, like yeah, you're supposed to wear a condom, this, that, and whatever, right? So um like breaking down the barriers, having an open line of communication, explaining like parents explaining certain things that happened to them if they had a child at an early age, explaining to your child what happened so that they don't make the same mistakes because knowledge is power, knowledge is key, right? So education is important. And also we definitely are too fast. I would agree that, and we don't take enough time to get to know the person that we're getting involved with, right? So that's the way that we can prevent it. Protection, take with time, and getting to know the person, because sometimes when you're in that honeymoon stage, you don't really get to know the person, and then after certain things happen, you're like, Jesus, imagine, look what I get myself in at. You know what I mean? And then it's too late. This is something that you have to deal with potentially for the rest of your life. So if we slow down a bit, we can see the signs, things that we can work with, things that we can't work with, and then from there, you like, just the whole mama, baby father, and the broken home syndrome would deplete a lot.
I have a comment from the IG, and I just wanted you guys comment on that. So
Mm-hmm.
just like how we're talking about um how we have just like how we're talking about parents didn't teach our children about sex, right? Now we have a comment from Miss Mila Zar on Instagram. She says, "Education for the youth versus threats from parents to the child." And I
Mm.
think what she means is,
Wait.
instead of educating young ladies about the
And
dangers
men and men too.
of
Yeah.
yeah, the ladies and men about the dangers of having sex early, what maybe we should be doing is educating them on what's gonna happen, instead of, yo, don't bring home no youth to my house, don't bring home no youth to
That's
my,
a
yo, my youth,
fact.
yo, don't bring no girl
That
pregnant
is
in
a
this house.
fact.
So
That
I
was
think I think kind of that's where she's
Oh
going. So
gosh.
no, that's a
we need to
fact.
get away from threatening our youths and start educating our youths.
That's a fact.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
gotta
I
that
agree.
that's a big one right there. That is the truth. Like as a woman, like as a female, that was the number one rule. Like you're not about to bring no picnic in on my yard, man. Not watch no picnic. All these type of things. Like it terrifies you. Like at the end of the day, you knew like some of your friends are doing it and it seems fun, whatever to them or whatever, and to you it's like, okay, what is this all about? Like you understand what I mean? And it's like no one really tells you that you're supposed to be protected, you're supposed to do that, you're supposed to, only way you know about that is if one of your friends mess up and they become pregnant, then all of a sudden everybody seems to know about protection after that. Like it takes one person out of the crew to get knocked up at a certain age, and then boom, everybody kind of eases up. But it's like, you're not told those things. And when you go to school, it's like, who really plays that much attention in sex education when you're at school? Like no one. Let's keep it a buck. People go to classes to get the condoms and leave. Like that's what you do, because at the end of it they give you a bunch of condoms and then they say, okay, here, go about your business. So it's like, and then when you go home, your peoples are telling you, yo, you shouldn't be having sex, you shouldn't be doing this. But it's like, okay, you got pregnant at 16, so how did that happen? And they're refuse some of them will refuse to tell you how that happened, and all that type of stuff. And it's just like, you know what I mean? So yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like
Well, let me just stop, Jada, before you jump in. I just want to take a second and shout out some of the viewers. I want to big up DJ Randy Savage punching in. She's throwing in her input. We got Fukun here. We got Pretty Nikki. Let me scroll back up here. Shout out to Derek Asante. Shout out to Jasmine. We scrolling up. We got a lot of viewers here. Shout out to Mila Zar on the IG. Shout out to Princess Foundation. Shout out to all the viewers. Shout out to My City Swag, DJ Sparka. Do remember, this is the VuPointz. It's the weekly show. If you're watching, remember to like and subscribe. Today's topic is baby mamas and baby daddies. How do we break the cycle? How do we break the cycle? We're going
of the
through some
word
questions. We have Tia, one of our guests, joining us, balancing out some of the testosterone and estrogen on the panel. Jada, you're about to punch in. What's your take?
Yo, this one is deep, B.
oh my
The
Yo.
viewers
everyone
are the
deep for
viewers are
you.
liking the topic. The comments are
Yeah.
You
deep
know
today.
that if you guys notice, everything for Jada man when he
Yeah,
comes
man.
in, this Yawanya deep. Which one
Yeah.
is not deep, my
Yeah.
friend?
So, yo, big up Derek on the comments, and yo, he's going in.
Yo,
And he's
Derek is
that's
dropping a lot of
that's
gems
my
in here.
man's right there. So, yo, okay, so we heard the education piece, right? Is critical, as opposed to threatening the kids' education. Like really talk, because it's true, right? Like you don't even know. And I hear a lot of girls say, when you ask how did you get pregnant, it's just like, yo, he said he pulled out. Like all them little thing there, like all them little those little things that go down. I could keep it real on the viewpoints, right? Like you hear those little pieces there, right? And I believed him, and like so, not even knowing that, hey, don't
Or
you
she told
know,
me she was on the pill
or
type
on the
stuff.
pill, one little
Yeah.
drop has, how many hundreds of thousands of sperms, sperm, little sperm particles running through there and whatnot. So it's just the education piece is key. The other piece I wanted to talk about, T, you mentioned us getting to know each other. So let's say we're educated, right? So let's say, no, I know about the ramifications. I don't want a kid early because, I need to get my life together. I need to be in a career. Like, are those things even talked about, right? Like setting people up for a career. Because like with my daughter, she's 14 going on 15, and I have an older daughter that she's doing they're doing their thing. But my I'm just gonna speak to my little one. She's like, I talk to these girls about having kids. Like, you can't be having no and then she's like, I need to do this. Like, it's just, but I've been pushed. Her mom and I, we've been kind of tablespoon spoon feeding her this. Here's where you're going. All of her skill sets, we've been navigating her, and positioning her in those places. So she wants to be a lawyer and all, and then I give her the roadmap. Here's what it's gonna take, and you don't have no time for no youth. You get what I'm saying? And she sees it, and so you really have to sit with them and walk them through it, right? Like, so I know we never got walked through it. So my question is now, how important is it for it, or is it important for a child to see, outside of just the education, don't have sex, do they need a life plan? Like, does that help them sort of not have, prematurely have children? Is a life plan important in there with your children?
All right. Sorry, I'll jump in real quick before I forget. So a life plan is great. It's amazing. Everybody had a majority of when I was younger, I had a plan from I was like what 13, 14. I had a plan of what I wanted to do in 10, 15 years, whatever the case may be. But you can my opinion is from seeing from the outside in is that when things like that happen, you tend to you educate your child, you put them, you have a plan in place for them, they're doing well, whatever. But as soon as they get out of your eyesight and they now jump onto a new beginning, say for instance they go off to college or university, they're no longer with mommy and daddy anymore as much, and they have more access to the world out there. Mommy and daddy's not there to back them up and see them through certain problems. And as soon as a guy that they feel is interested in them or interested in, say for instance, what their major is, and they find similarities, and a lot of all of the things that you teach them kind of go through one ear and out the other. Like, they kind of forget about that because you're so much in love, you're so much about your relationship, you're so much emotionally, physically involved with this person that you get caught up sometimes, and things do happen. So even if you put a structure, you can put a structure in place, but sometimes, depending on the environment that they're in, sometimes, yeah, when they're younger they see it, but as soon as they're off to college they see a different light. When you're at college and you're off and you're in a dorm room by yourself, and it's a co-ed dorm, and there's guys and girls in there, and mommy and daddy is thousands of miles away. Like, what you understand, sometimes that's what usually happens. Even though you put that in place, those are the things that happens. But there are young women that do take that and say hell no, and focus on their career and things of that nature. But majority of the times what I hear is that girls fall in love, or they thought that he was the one, and all these type of stuff. So yeah, that's just my take on that.
All right, Tia, same
So
question. So, do you think a life plan is beneficial?
it is because at any point your goal, or you can change whatever you want to be, right? But at least you set a foundation as to what you want to work towards. That you can always change that, but once you have that foundation of what you want to work towards, that's a great starting point. You're steering in the right direction of where you want to go, right? So it's yeah.
So,
Yeah,
so
you definitely have to do
let me ask a question for the ladies, because there's some ladies that I know, um that say, that make a statement and say, like, I want a baby. I don't need a man. I just want a baby. Like, Is that something you hear, or like why would they, like, how does that even come about? You want a man, I want a baby, but I don't need a man.
I could kind of speak on that because I have a cousin who's a little older than me, but for whatever her issues is, and she really wants to have a baby, but she can't find someone of substance that she wants to have a child with. So she's saying, if you really want to have that child that badly, that you know what that's going to come along with it, then do your thing
So
because
can
that's
I
what you
can I
want.
ask, so can I ask a question? In a situation like that, right? Would
Mhm.
is it in a situation like that, would you suggest that that person, um like, obviously you don't want them just to pick anybody, right? But in a
Mhm.
situation like that, uh, is it not good in our community to go adoption route, surrogate route? Is that something that's not pushed in the black community? And I'm asking the panel here, everybody.
It's a different, I feel it's a different bond. Like from what I, like I said, from what I was told, like it's a different, I like having a your own to call your own is a different breed. A lot of people don't think about adoption, and adoption takes longer than a lot of people think. It's not just boom bam bum done. It's
Yeah.
not like that. And even with surrogacy, that's the same thing. Like you have to find the right person. You have to all that type of stuff. There's things that come with that. You have to make sure that you everything's okay with you and everything's okay with the surrogate. And then there's trust issues when it comes with people taking the kid and not, like, there's too much that comes with that. So I think a lot of women look at it like, especially sometimes it's pressure on you when you see people around you having kids and living their life and having so much fun and stuff like that, and you feel like your time's ticking. Especially if you came out of a long-term relationship that's the man that you thought you were going to spend your life with and build a family. You guys broke up. He's a dirt squirrel. You don't want to talk to him anymore. You have that mentality where, like, yo, at the end of the day, I can do this by myself. Like, I don't
So
need
I
a
think
man. I
so
don't
I
need a
think
man for
based
that.
on I think based on what you guys are both saying, Tia, based on what your cousin and Brooklyn, based on what your experience is, it kind of both ties into what Jada Man's saying, is that in terms of having a life plan. So whether you're getting up there in age and you haven't found a partner, but you want to bear children, or whether you're in a situation where you picked the wrong partner too early, you had a child, and you're moving on to something different. It's a matter of making that conscious decision that you're going to move forward as a single parent. So you're making that conscious plan to do that, then it's better than not doing it. Or if instead of going that long adoption or surrogate route, if you're going to mentally make that plan to move forward, then I guess, not to say there's nothing wrong, but it's better than being unprepared. Now let me ask a question as well. So it kind of ties into what Brooklyn was mentioning in terms of, the couple that linked up early, had a child, and for the realized that the relationship wasn't best for them. Um, how can parents who are not together repair what is broken and work for the common good of the children? And not to say, meaning repair what is broken where we got to get back together, but how do you repair whatever is broken and work to the common goal of the children, so that the next generation is not left with that notion as well?
That's a conversation you guys all need to
Yeah.
have.
Um,
Yeah.
you know what? It honestly takes two. It takes two. If one person refuses, there's nothing you can do about it, bro. There's nothing you could do about it. But there's something you could do about, um, when it comes to your rights and how that child views you and stuff like. So you can only manage what's in your world and control what's in your world, is what I'm saying, right? But what I would do, if it means that much to me, I try to reach out, and I've done this in my life. And as Brooklyn said earlier, try to find a mutual person to speak to that other person. Like I've done this on several occasions, where it's just like they're not seeing, they're whatever stuff in the past, whatever. And some people just they grow this resentment for you that just lasts decades. They just don't like you, right? For whatever. So finding that mutual person is key to for that intervention piece. but also just doing what you have to do. Like if you're reaching out, they're blocking you, your number, all that. Like that's one of the worst feelings too. Your number's blocked, you can't get through. It can turn into a mess. So outside of reaching for that olive branch through a mutual person, and doing what you're supposed to do when you have your child, and eventually over time I've noticed that love that I pushed through with my child or with my children overcame whatever, right? But you have to be a very patient kind of individual to kind of withstand that, like the blocked calls, the fu, the x y and z, and you have to have something greater that you're living for, and it should be your youth or your child or your children, right? So I've always used them as my north star and be like, you know what, I gotta do it. As a guy told me, you must die for your children.
For the
So I'll
youth.
go to the ends of the world, the ends of the world for them. But it's hard when somebody isn't responsive. But if two people are willing, yes, you could bridge that and then work out a plan on how you're gonna move forward. Try to What you need to do is try to hash up, try to stitch up the old wounds, because it's usually old wounds or lack of communication, as somebody mentioned, right? If two people could get to the table, that's what you got to do first. What's wrong? What did I do? What year was it? Okay, here's what I was thinking, 15 years ago, boom, boom, boom. It wasn't that, no, it's real talk. A lot.
Maybe it's the
See,
baga gal you have. It could be
or
that.
maybe some people could have a lot of women, like, but whatever it is, let's figure it out. Let's figure out a plan to move forward, and then one day at a time.
I
All
agree.
right. So, Tia, same question. How can parents who are not together repair what is broken and work for the common goal of the children?
So like I agree with Jaden, man, when he says having a conversation to kind of clear the air to see what the true issue is, right? Um, that's important, but for some people, they're not going to tell the truth, or they're not going to really say what it is, right? So with the what then comes in like the spitefulness and the vindictive, but you just have to try to know that take the high road. I'm doing
Yeah.
this in the best interest of my children. I just want the best for them. I don't really business about you per se, what you're doing with yourself. Just do the right thing for our child. That's it. So once you can have the mental maturity to say, I'm doing this for my child, I want it to get along. We're gonna have a open line of communication. If I did something that you didn't like, you can tell me, and vice versa. It wouldn't be that difficult. It wouldn't.
Yeah. Now, I kind of agree with both of what you guys are saying in terms of like communication and things like that, and in terms of somebody at some point needs to take the high ground.
I
Somebody needs to
yeah,
take the high ground.
mhm,
If that one
absolutely.
person takes the high ground, it's gonna help the other person see. All right, you know what? Maybe I was being petty, or maybe I this, or maybe we should have this conversation, or maybe I was upset for no reason. But that conversation has to be had, and somebody has to be the bigger person. I've seen situations in like with my friends and family where I've seen men do take the higher road, and I've seen women take the higher road. I've seen I've seen men go through terrible situations, but still do the things that they need to do for the sake of the children. And I've seen women do the same thing, like leave their house, get assistance, get rid of the guy for the sake of the children, or whatever it takes. So I definitely agree with what both of you guys are saying.
That's 100%. I agree with y'all. I no, I'm saying I agree with everybody. Like having a conversation is very important, and also after you hash it out, I feel you guys should have a conversation with if the child's old enough to understand what's going on, to have a conversation to let the child know that mommy and daddy are on the same page. We're here for you at the end of the day. For we're gonna make this work and things of that nature. Because sometimes kids also, when they're at a certain age, they don't understand why they have to go to mommy's house for 1 week and then be at dad's house for the weekend and stuff like that. So I feel like a conversation, definitely needs to be had with involving the child, if, like I said, if they're able to understand what's going on, and just let them know, hey, mommy and daddy's on, we're in a great space right now, and all we're doing is focusing on you and what's best for you. So you know what I mean? So the child doesn't have to feel like they have to pick sides. They know for sure mommy and daddy are on the same page. They understand what's going on, so good. They don't have to pick sides. So that's just my thought.
And one next thing is that I realized any parent that really understands what having a child is about, or children, once you have those children, you're no longer living solely for yourself. You're living for those children, right? They're your dependents. So they depend on you for everything, for food, for clothing, for shelter, for advice, for love, for healing, for everything. So once you've had children, you're no longer living for your solely for yourself. Even if some people are not even living for themselves once they have children, everything's for their children, right? And I think that's unhealthy. That is unhealthy. But a lot of us do that, but it's unhealthy. We got to have a balance. But they're at the forefront of what we're doing here. So I feel that once parents realize, anybody that has children, whether or not they fall within this catchment, quote unquote, or they're doing it in marriage, you just got to understand, say, it's we're doing whatever is the best interest, in the best interest of the children, and they're brought up. See, that's what we have to do. And I think if both people are on that wave, we have to do what we have to do for what's in the best interest of the children. You'll be all right.
Makes
Yeah.
sense. Makes sense. All right. So let me ask a question, and I know you guys may have kind of answered it slightly in your last comment, but I want to wrap it up into a little ball right here, right? So we're all of age where most of us have children. A lot of our viewers have children as well, or we have family members with that are our age with children, right?
Thank
Now,
you. Involve
now,
me.
now, a lot of what we're talking about, we can relate to our parents and we can relate to ourselves, right? A lot of us have kids. Some of us may be in a relationship with the child's parent, with the other parent, and some of us may not, right? So we're talking to ourselves. This is real life we're talking. What I want to know is, how do we prevent this with future generations? In 20 years, when my son and Jada's daughter is doing Viewpoints Part 2, I don't want this topic to come up. So how do we prevent this from happening to future generations? Who wants to start?
As of right now,
Jay,
you
you start.
okay.
I feel like we kind of touched on some of it.
Yeah.
So
But you
so
can.
yeah, yeah. So nothing is, as you said, prevent. I mean, we could have a prevention plan for sure, and I think that includes, we got to clean up. Honestly, we got to clean up the music. I always say music is the most influential mechanism ever, because the words and the rhythm of the rhythm of the music, it plays, the energy of it, and it just, you hear it, and it goes into the psyche and into the mind, into the subconscious. So music, we have to clean up the music. That's a big part. We have to want better as a community. We have to take our time. We have to take our time with love, with relationships. We have to understand what compatibility is. We have to understand what commitment is and what that means and what that looks like. We can't be so quick to rush, right? We have to provide, and the young people that are coming up, we have to provide education. Right, that came up. We have to. It's our duty to talk to them, not just throw the condom on their bed and say, make sure you put on that when you go on the road. You know what I'm saying? Or the females, make sure you're, because I know a lot of women, um, they don't even want to start talking about the young women going on the pill, right? And then it also happens there because sometimes they're underage and can't go, to the doctor on their own without parental consent to get some of those things. But I know some of the clinics offer those things now. But the education piece is key. Helping, supporting our children with life plans, and not even just our children, people, because some people are on one or two and they don't want another, and this could be a recurrent cycle until somebody is in the barren years where they can't have kids anymore. So helping everybody with a life plan that's around us, each one teach one. I always say that, right? It's not, you can't just look over there and look over in that house and see it burning down, and it's your cousin or your people them's house, and you don't go through a little, try out it with some water. Do what you can. But that life plan is key, right? So especially for our kids, ensuring that they have that north star, something to look at and something to guide them, right? But along with that, you need the support system, right? So with all of that intact, you need a support system, because when they leave the house, they're out in the world. And whoever is outside on the stoop, whoever is the most influential person in their lives outside, will knock out some of the things that you taught them, or temporarily, put it on mute, and they can end up in a certain situation and then don't know what to do, right? And they're afraid to come home. So the environment, as much as you can, you have to try to protect and create your child's environment. You feel me? So that's why a lot of people would like to move. But if some people can't move, I feel in your community, you got to do what you can. You got to do what you can to help clean it up, to be an advocate, to be a voice, to do things in your community. Because when your children leave, as I said, when your children leave, or when people leave your house, they go out into that world. And whatever's out there, you can't just walk, and you can't just see and blind. You know what I'm saying? And that's a saying to say you can't look and act like you're blind, right? Everybody has a role to play. And outside of that, um, I think there's a big piece that my man Derek Asante said. He said we should, instead of independence or pushing, especially our women on the independence tip, to be interdependent, right? Where we depend on each other, right? Which is where they kind of strayed the family from going from, especially our families, right? Interdependent. Let's work together. No, no, no. I need you. You need me. What do? You need me to do that? I need you to boom, boom, boom. Let's go, right? And let's commit there. Let's commit to be together and raise the family together, and do what we got to do together. And ultimately, it's not. Um, it's not the blueprint of success potentially, but I feel, based on the conversation we had, and with all the knowledge everybody put out there, that's the way, in that direction, that's how we sort of fill the gaps, and start changing the narrative in the story.
Wow. Wow, buddy. You just wrapped everything up for everybody now, didn't you, buddy?
Yeah, you have anything to add there?
I also think that showing your children love, teaching them how to love themselves, instilling, like, complimenting them, instilling confidence in themselves, doing things that will help them navigate as into, like what Jada Man was saying about, like, the life plan, right? Things that will, involving them in activities that will allow them to know things that they like, what they don't like, and so forth, right? And setting good examples. We're all not perfect, but I think we can be more mindful of how we speak, the way that we act, the music that we listen to, the things that we take into our system, definitely affects it.
All right, well, I
Yeah.
agree with you there. Now, I'm gonna put my take into it. So, everything you guys are saying is correct in terms of like society, environment, and the music and things like that. I agree with that. Now, I'm gonna take it to a more like more specific or more fine tuned, right? In within ourselves, I would say number one, we need to be more patient, right? In general, within ourselves, in your relationships, in rough
Mhm.
times, in everything, be more patient and understanding, and that will help you get through any situation, right? With that being said, the other angle is education. So patience within ourselves as elders, and education for the youths, them teaching them the things that we know we should be teaching them, the family unit, the benefits of independence, as well as the benefits of a family, and the joys of a union. So with myself, I would say it's patience among ourselves and education for the youths.
That's
That's
a
how we will help
fact.
prevent it.
Listen, and if it was like back in the day, I know you guys know about the song "Let's Talk About Sex, Baby." Let's talk. Like, there's ways that you can educate without, being boring with it and things of that nature. But as long as we have social media that is going to play a major part with everything. Because once your kids go in that room and they log on to Instagram and they log on to their Snapchat and all this type of stuff, and they see their favorite rappers or their favorite Instagram influencer on there, and they see them boot up, and then they see that they break up but they have a family and they're able to maintain all that type of stuff. Like things like that also play a major role. So I would say that parents nowadays, you guys have to monitor things like that, and pay attention to what your kids watch and what they listen to, because that plays a major part. When people, for instance, when people were looking at what Sweetie said when she said, if your man can't buy you a Birkin and all this type of stuff, throw him back to the streets. Like, what are we teaching our girls out here? That if our man can't buy us an expensive gift, that we need to throw him back to the streets? Like, he's not worth even building a relationship with. Like, you understand? Then we have the Cardi B's that are telling young women out here, she don't cook, she don't clean, but she got a ring. So to these, like, to us, we know better, but to the youth, them, they don't know. They're listening to their favorite artists and they're saying, okay, you know what? If they can do it, I can do it. So if she can be a single mother and have bare Birkins in her thing, and her man can bring her shopping, why not? So I feel like social media, along with you have to educate your kids with everything, not just with that, but when it comes to social media and everything that comes behind that, and educate them properly. Like, let them know, tell them some stories. I know a lot of parents are afraid to tell their kids stories about their past, but sometimes you have to speak your ugly truth for people to know what's going on, the real deal about you. Because some kids don't really know their parents to that degree. They only hear stories from other people. So sometimes you have to let them know the real deal, like in full 3D form. Like, don't sugarcoat it. Like, the same way you would be with your brethren, you have to be with your kids sometimes and give them the stern talk. Listen, this is what happened, A, B, C, and D, to let them know it wasn't always peaches and cream with your mother and I. Like, we were at each other's throats because I used to do this, and you understand what I mean. And as women, we need more men to step up and let us know what we're not supposed to do in relationships, and what we should and should not be, enduring from a man, because sometimes we need that. So men, especially you guys who have daughters, I would say definitely. I know it's an uncomfortable topic to talk about sometimes, but it's a topic you definitely have to sit down with your daughter and speak about, and let her know this is what it is. Like, the man them, this is why I can't have you out in the streets gallivanting and doing all of this, because A, B, and C will happen. You understand? And not only that, their reputation, there's things that come with that as well. Like, you understand what I mean? So they have to understand that.
Definitely, definitely, it kind of makes sense,
But
and
when you hold on,
hopefully
but but you guys forgot about the Teen Mom show, 16 and Pregnant. When you have shows like that are showing kids vacating,
glorifying,
when you're
glorifying.
glorifying that, like I said, social media plays like, you understand what I mean? Media plays a big part in that. There are also, yeah, there are ups and downs that come with it, but as a 16, 15, 16-year-old watching that, you're saying to yourself, oh, okay, I see that they can do it. Da 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 da. Why can't I do it? You understand what I mean? But they have to understand that your parents and their parents are two different people. What their parents will stand for, you damn well know your mom or your
They're
father
not
will
gonna
not
stand
stand
for
for
the
that.
same thing.
So, Billy can't get away with it, but not you. Remember that.
We say Billy can, but Tyrone can't.
Nope, Tyrone, hell no. You getting kicked out of your mama crib. You have to stay at your brethren's house for a couple of days. You know what it is.
Baby mamas and
Listen,
baby daddies.
they don't want to be young mom. Jada, man, I know your mom told you, like, I'm not trying to be a young grandmother out here. Like, you're not about to have me out here being a grandmother out here in these streets. Like, that's their favorite line. They're not ready to be grandmothers. So no, 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 no. Let them know.
Mhm.
Educate them.
Facts, education, communication, knowledge of self, knowledge of history, patience,
Mhm.
planning.
Mhm.
These are the key words that stuck out
Mhm.
for me today in terms of how we can move
Oh yeah,
ourselves to a better
and
situation.
what is it? Will
Protection,
protection will prevent any of that. If you protect
exactly.
yourself, it will prevent you from being a young mother, and being a mom or a father at a time that you're not ready to be one. So that's all I have to say.
So
Protect and prevent.
Tia, I want to ask you. So first of all, I want to thank you for taking the time and coming on the show and sharing those personal stories. There was a couple people I asked to come on the show, And as soon as they heard what the topic was, them run, them run.
Baby father, baby father.
It's I don't know. It's either they were nervous about what they would say, or they didn't want to. I don't even know what it was, but when them hear the topic, them run. So I want to thank you for taking the time to share some of your personal stories and help educate the viewers on some of the things they may not have known. Is there anything else? Any final words in terms of baby mothers, baby fathers, or any words of wisdom that you want to share to the viewers about the topic before we close off?
Um, Pretty much just to not be selfish. Take Sometimes we need to take our feelings out of it and do what's best for our child. Be patient, try to be understanding, and also um, the same understanding or the same mercy that you would want from someone else is the same that we have to show to someone else as well. So I mean, no situation is ideal, but if you want the best for your children, you just gotta try to work together and take the high road, try to be mature and do the best that you can.
Weight banging, weight banging, weight